everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. Today we have some fun projects. Some of these finished projects will be for sale on my website if any of them interest you. So let's get started. Project 1 is a little frame that I've had for quite a while. I've had it hanging in my house just like this, but I decided to give it a little makeover. So the first thing I'm going to do is basically take everything off and start with just the frame. So here I'm removing the back of it. The backing is kind of like almost like a fabric backing, but I'm going to go ahead and take that off and then pry up the little staples that are holding on the cardboard backing, and I'm going to remove that as well. When I get the picture out, it's attached to the matting, but I'm going to go ahead and remove that because I do want to use the mat on that. I'm going to remove the glass as well because I am not intending on using that on my finished project. So I'm going to give this a wipe down first of all, and then after I get that done, I'm going to grab my gilding wax in Empire Gold, and I'm going to go over the frame with this. I know the frame is already gold, but I don't particularly like that. It's more of a really yellowy type of gold, and so I just also too want to go in between those bamboo pieces and get those gold as well. They have like kind of like a washed out white weird look to them, so I just want to cover the whole frame with gold and make sure that I have full coverage. So again, you've seen me do this before. I'm going to grab the mat and go inside of that trimming on the inside and also put gold there as well. Usually I do this because I want it to kind of have a cohesive look. Like I don't want just the frame to be gold. I want it to look like there's some kind of continuity to it. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to grab some DIY dark wax and I'm going to go over all the frame, pushing that wax into the crevices of that frame, of the detail, and making sure that it's in there. Then I'm going to grab the I don't think it's a paper, it's like a little cloth, soft cloth, and I'm just going to buff that in, making sure that I buff that wax into all the detail. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to grab the Bohemian in DIY, and this was kind of a little bit dried out for me, so I did have to water it down some. But once I get that all mixed up, I'm going to go over that mat and with a couple of coats with the Bohemian. So here I am, I'm drying the first coat with my embossing gun, and then I'm going in for my second coat. I'm not looking for perfection. This is supposed to look antique, and that's why I'm not really concerned if it comes out a little streaky or anything like that. Here I'm drying the second coat of that Bohemian, and I'm actually going to set that aside and kind of let that dry really well. I'm going to grab some foam board and the backing of that picture that I took out, the cardboard backing, and I'm going to follow the guidelines for that and cut out a piece to fit. I'm just showing you those little cutters are super handy. I got them for a set of 3, I think, on Amazon. If I find where I purchased those, I'll link those below. So here I grabbed Farm Fresh, and the same thing, I watered it down just a bit. It was kind of drying out for me, so I did get some texture in that as well from the clay paint, and I do a first layer and then go ahead and dry that with my embossing gun. Here I'm doing the second layer, and you can see that there is some texture to that backing, which is great. It's not anything that I'm worried about. Texture is only going to add to the finished product, and then I'm drying that with my embossing gun. So here you see I have this little casting that I did sometime videos back, like a couple of videos back, and I never did use it, so here I just grabbed it, and I am going to put some dark wax over that, pushing it into all that detail, and then I'm going to wipe it back, leaving behind that dark wax. So now that I have all that ready to go, I'm going to grab my Jolie finishing clear wax, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go over the matting and the actual backing. So I'm going to go over the bohemian blue with a little soft cloth and my finger, and I'm just kind of rubbing that in. Then I'm going to grab that again, and I'm also going to go over the backing on that Farm Fresh from DIY. And again, just with my finger and the soft cloth, I'm just working that into the backing. It darkens everything up. I know that the matting frame looks really dark, but it will lighten up once that wax cures. So I'm grabbing art glitter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that front matting to the back foam board, and just make sure that those are really well adhered. Once I have that put together there, I do what I just kind of line them up, press them down, and then what I'm going to do is actually, because I see that that foam board is starting to kind of curve a little bit, I'm going to place that under a stack of books and let that dry overnight. So the next day it come back, it still has a little bit of curve to it, but I'm really not that worried about it. And now what I'm going to do is grab my gilding wax again in the gold, and I'm just going to kind of take my finger and go over the top of that casting. The dark wax kind of got it too dark for me, so I'm just going to go back over it to just put a little bit more shine on there. Once again, I grab my art glitter glue, and I'm going to glue that casting onto the center of the matting. This glue is really nice. It holds really well. I haven't had any problems with it. Any kind of problems with like this casting is a little bit on the heavier side. I haven't had any problems with it holding up to that. So I set that aside, and I allowed it to dry overnight again, and here everything is, I'm going to start putting everything together. So I'm going to pop that back into the frame, and I didn't put the cardboard backing back on it, although I think I'm going to go back and do that now just from watching this, and push those staples down to hold everything into place, and that's how that turned out. I really love the look of the blue and the gold. It just makes everything pop. Project 2 is a pineapple. It's a pineapple, and I think it's just kind of like a display piece, like a shelf sitter type thing. I purchased this at the Goodwill some time ago, and here you see I'm just starting off cleaning it really well with a damp cloth. Once I have that all clean, I'm grabbing my Dixie Belle Patina paint in copper. This is going to be a really quick flip. But with this patina paint, you get like a quick bang for your buck, I guess I want to say. And I'm just going to go over the pineapple with the copper paint, making sure that I get some good coverage. I'm not doing 2 coats with this only because the color underneath is already pretty much a coppery color. So while that paint is still wet, I am going to start kind of spraying on the first coat. This is the reason why I poured that paint out into a separate cup, because I am going to be going in and out with that spray, and I didn't want it to kind of contaminate my main container. So I just do a section, and then I use the patina spray in green and spray that as I go. Normally, if the item is a different color than what I'm really kind of wanting, I will do 2 coats. I'll put 1 coat of the paint on, let it dry, and then go in with the second coat. But here I didn't have to do that, so it came out beautifully. All that patina, there was no that color that it originally was, just added some kind of variation in color here and there, and just added to the look of the patina. Project 3 is kind of an experiment here. I grabbed this DOS clay in terracotta, and I grabbed this terracotta pot, brand new. I believe I got it from Michael's for a few bucks. And I'm grabbing the Felicity IOD mold. And I'm obsessed with those Italian clay pots that you see that have the fruit or the flowers and stuff on them. So this is what I'm trying to achieve here. So I could have used regular white clay and done this, but what I was trying to do is just find an easier way to do it, instead of, grabbing a different kind of pot, grabbing white clay, and then having to come up with a terracotta color and painting everything the same color. I was just trying an experiment to see how this was going to work out. So I'm doing everything like normal, just casting those, and you can see here that they're in that terracotta color, and they match the pot really well. So I'm just picking out the designs that I want to put on there. I'm not doing this, I think I would have spent more time on it, but like I said, I was just kind of doing an experiment, so I was just wanting to see how things were going to turn out in the end. So I'm just casting what I can for the front of this, and placing those in place. What I'm wanting to do is, before anything, I want to kind of mold them to the curve of the pot. I'm not worried about the white powder on there, because it's going to get covered over. So I let those actually dry on the pot overnight, so that they would keep the curve of the pot. You can see here that they've gotten a little lighter. I will say with this clay, there's not really any cracking. It doesn't really crack like the white clay does. So I'm using the Type Bond, and I'm just putting those into place, and what I'm going to do is use my tape to hold those on so they don't go sliding around. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't take more time with this, only because I really did like the way that it turned out. Not that there's anything majorly wrong with it. I just probably would have put more castings on it. But I wasn't in a hurry. I was just excited, and I wanted to kind of get the project done so I could see the finish of it. So I let that glue dry overnight. When I came in the next day, I just removed the paint. Everything was stuck down pretty well, and so I'm just kind of looking at it to see what it did. Everything looks pretty good. And I'm going to grab some cotton white chalk paint in Folk Art Home Decor, and I'm going to pour a little bit of that into a cup. I probably, looking back, would have grabbed a little bit less paint than that, and then I'm going to water this down pretty heavily. But if you're going to do a wash like this, it doesn't even take this much paint. You could have used a lot less than what I did. So I'm just mixing that up, like I said, with a lot of water, making sure that it's kind of getting to that really thin consistency. I'm grabbing a chip brush. I'm going to go inside the pot first just because I want to see where I'm at as far as color goes. I am making a complete mess. That paint is splattering all over the place, but I'm creating here. I'm not even thinking about it. So I grab a paper towel and I'm just kind of wiping that off, pouring some water in there to kind of streak that out, because that's what I'm kind of looking for, is something that was, in the elements and kind of gets that white film over it. So I'm just grabbing that, going on top of the flowers, in between the flowers, and just covering that whole pot. So what I learned about this is that terracotta clay does dry a little bit lighter than the terracotta pot. If I had to do it all over again, I would say that I would have watered that paint down a little more, only because I wouldn't have had to go over those flowers wiping the white back so much. The more it seems like you wipe the flowers, you start getting some of that terracotta color off on your, whatever you're wiping it off with. So less is more here. You don't want to be wiping those flowers so much, just so that they can keep as much of that terracotta color as possible. Overall, I think it came out great. It looks beautiful. I am going to be doing this technique quite a bit now on a lot of the decorative pots and stuff that I have here. I just think that, especially with this mold, the Felicity mold, it just looks beautiful. So there is my experiment for the month. Project 4 is this little shelf that I got some time ago, and it's this really red wood shelf. And so I don't like the handle that's on there. It's almost like a little piece of wood, like a little piece of branch. So I just kind of use my hammer to knock that off, and then I'm going to sand the part of that where it came off. It was kind of lumpy and stain and stuff kind of around it. So I just want to smooth that off. And then I'm just going to go around with some wipes and wipe all of that back, getting all the dirt off, and making sure everything's really clean under there. The first thing I'm going to do is grab Salvation Solution DIY in white, and I just had a little bit of this left, so I thought it would be good to use it up and go over all of this. Again, I will say that I know that y'all know that I've had trouble kind of with this. It hasn't really always worked out the way that I needed it to, but on this project, I'm not exactly sure why, because I thought out of everything that this is the one that it would probably have some seep through on it, but it worked perfectly well on this, and I was very happy with it. So I just went over the little drawer and the little shelf piece a couple of times just to make sure that I had full coverage, and I didn't have too much streaking. I think if I was going to use a lighter color on this, I mean a darker color, I probably wouldn't have done this, but I plan on using a really light color, and I didn't want any of that coming through or it taking me 5,000 coats to cover it up. So I grabbed French millinery in DIY again, and I'm going to pour that into a cup, and I am going to add some water to this to thin it out just a bit. Sorry if you can hear the sirens. Oh goodness. You can never block out everything, can you? So I just went over all of this about 2.5 times, 2 times, and then just touched up the third time of places that I felt like needed some little touch up, that it was streaky or something. I've been using this color quite a bit. I'm not really like a purpley kind of person, but I just felt like with this transfer set that it went really well with it. And so here I'm just going through this, and I'm going through this transfer sheet set, which I cannot remember the name of it. Fairy Tale Florals, that's what it's called, Fairy Tale Florals, and I'm just grabbing some elements from there and cutting them out that I feel I want to use on this. So I'm just placing those where I think they would look good, and I'm just going to start putting those down. Normally I would coat this just if I knew that I was going to put some transfers down, but I let this paint dry really well. I think I actually let it go for 2 days while I was working on other projects, so I knew it was really dry, and I wasn't worried about lifting any of that paint off. So I grabbed some of the trimming transfer, and I'm going to put that on top there, across the top, and I also put some across the front of the drawer. So once I have all those placed where I wanted, I grab my Jolie wax again in clear, and I'm going to put a coat over all of this. Once I got that covered, I did let it sit for, I think I ended up leaving it for like an hour. I got busy doing something else, and then I came back and wiped it down to kind of burnish that wax in and make sure everything was covered well. Here I'm marking the center of the drawer. I grabbed this little knob here, and I'm going to use that as the drawer pull. I grabbed the JB Weld. I really like the way that this works. The smell is so strong, and so I think that's probably my last time using it. I just can't. Or if you're going to use it, make sure you use it in a well-ventilated area. I wouldn't recommend using it inside. It's just very strong, and even after, if you have anything left on something and you throw it away, it's still going to smell. So, but it does work very well. So I wanted to cover up the center hole on the top of this, and so I grabbed a little casting that I had made out of clay, and I'm going to go ahead and cover that up. It's a little piece of flour. I'm going to cover that in the gold gilding wax and just do a full coat on that, and I'm going to glue that to the top of that, covering that middle hole. This is the first time I'm using the Gorilla Super Glue Gel, and I will say I like it. It's so fast, and really good strong hold. I don't know if they sell it in a bigger bottle than this. If they did, that would be great. I have to research that, but I really like this, and that's how that turned out. I thought this would be really cute for jewelry or barrettes or just little trinkets. This beautiful little mushroom brooch that I got from my friend Karen, she sent it to me on that little frame, and it was just beautiful. And thank you, Karen. I appreciate it so much for you thinking of me. Project 5, I grabbed these some time ago, and my idea for these is that I wanted to look like it came off of they came off of an old estate, off of their wrought iron or fence or their fence, and so that's the kind of look that I'm going for. So I grabbed some black paint that I got as a tester from Home Depot or Lowe's, I think Home Depot, and this is just, like I said, sample wall paint, so I just wanted to use it up. I'm putting quite a bit of that baking soda in there because I want a lot of texture. So using a brush, I'm not swiping, I'm pouncing the paint in there to get as much texture as I can, and so that I can get in between those little prongs and all the detail and everything. I want to make sure that I have full coverage as much as I can get on here and texture. So this is the first coat, and I'm drying that again with my embossing gun, just making sure that everything is dry. Pretty much that's after the first coat. Of course, now I'm going to finish it up by doing the bottom, and then again going over it and putting as much texture as I can onto that pine cone. So once I have that on there, and I did let it dry, I am going to go for a, this is going to be the third coat, but this is going to be the coat that is going to get the spray on there. So again, I'm going to grab my patina spray in green. I poured out some in a little cup because again, I don't want to contaminate it, because what I'm going to do is go in and place them down and then spray, and what I want is that once this starts kind of going into a rust look, you are going to get more texture, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that rusty texture, that wrought iron texture, and so I'm just pouncing it on and spraying, going back over that spray with a little bit more and spraying again, just kind of going ham on it. Just doesn't have rust. It has like a yellow on it. It just has a verdigris, like just so many different colors of orange and yellow and a little bit darker red spots and things like that. They just came out beautiful. That's probably my favorite project in this. So this one is a really quick project. I bought these little frames that came kind of hung together, and I really didn't want that, so I just started taking those apart and with my pliers there, and just removing the chain and stuff off of that. I was left with these little hooks that I'm going to snap off with my pliers, and they just snapped off pretty easy. You could see them there. They're just popping right off. So just went ahead and did that. I'm going to grab the my other like little snippers and getting off any kind of rough edges that were sticking out too close. And then again, I think I did this last week. I'm just going to use my file and file any of those sharp edges down. I just use a really, really coarse file, and it does the job. My idea for this is that I just want to make some really cute little fridge magnets. So I grabbed my copper patina pennies from heaven from DIY paint. This is my first time using this. I was never really sure. Well, first of all, it was really hard for me to get a hold of it. Every time I would try to buy it from somewhere, it was sold out. So finally, I found some that I was able to purchase, and I just got it in. So I'm just going through, and I'm doing 2 coats over these little frames, front and back. I really like the color of this. It is a really beautiful, vibrant copper, and it does cover really well. I think the thing that kind of kept me from, I guess, buying it earlier was because I thought it was really kind of like a see-through paint, and it really isn't. It does a really good job covering. So this is the first coat, and I'm just drying that with my embossing gun. And here I'm going in with the second coat, and you can see it's even more vibrant, and it just is covering well. I'm drying that second coat with that, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the backing. I've had quite a few questions about my second channel, and I am doing that. I think I'm going to launch that in September. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what my filming format is going to be. If it's going to be more like this kind of format where I kind of plan those projects out, or if I'm going to do more of like a vlog type thing. Let me know what y'all would like to see, because I'm really not sure what you know, how you guys want to see that, because it is going to be different content. So here I'm grabbing my DIY dark wax, and I'm going to go over those little frames, making sure to push that wax in all of those little details of the frames, just to bring that back out again. So I am doing front and back with that. I'm doing all three, and then grabbing a soft cloth and kind of pulling some of that dark wax back. And it just shows that detail so well, and you get that copper color. It's just so beautiful. I think this might be my new favorite paint. So we'll see what else I could come up with to use it on. So here you see I'm just snapping the back. I just put some little flower stickers in them. This is not, I just wanted to show you what it kind of looked like. It's not what I'm you know, they're removable, so if somebody purchases these, they can put whatever they want in there. So here you see I just have them kind of laying down. If you wanted to do that and just put a little you know, picture of someone or something in there and kind of lay it by in a kind of vignette, you could do that. But here you could see I stuck them on my fridge, and I have them hanging here. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Don't forget to follow my other social media stuff, and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you soon.